And let's put this in historical context, too. Think back to when Kennedy was running for president. I mean, just a few decades ago, to imagine the kind of crowds and the outpouring of support for a Catholic Church leader and the numbers that we saw here in the country, how do you make sense of the dramatic shift in the attitude towards Catholics?
It's a great question. I think the shift in perceptions of the church is partly due to the shift in tone that Pope Francis himself has brought about. There was a sentence in a speech he gave this morning, Adam. He said, "A Christianity that does little but incessantly explains its teachings is dangerously unbalanced." And it's hard not to hear in that a veiled critique of those who would focus more on the church's teachings on this controversial matter or that controversial matter. Francis instead is an authentic man. He wants to be near the people. He wants to be near those who need him the most, who need all of us the most, the marginalized, the immigrant. He spoke out against the death penalty. And there's a consistency to this Pope. He is interested in affirming every human life as something having dignity, and that is a message that we hear so little these days. It is refreshing, and that's why non-religious people, non-Catholics, and Catholics were drawn to him so much.
Okay, so there you said it. We're talking about, you know, human life, the death penalty, immigration, all of these such hot-button political issues right now as we head into this campaign for the White House right now. Will the Pope's visit, in your opinion, at all have an impact on this race?
It's going to depend. These were 6 whirlwind days. So many Americans fell in love with this Pope. Some of them knew a lot about him before he came. Some of them knew little. Whether this lasts is a great question, and Father Tom Reese, who was on the program a few days ago, put it really well. He said, the test of this Pope is going to be when someone goes into a Catholic church, are they going to find Pope Francis there or not? And part of the mission of the Pope while he was here, I think, was to lead by example, to teach by example the many priests and bishops and nuns and maybe even theologians like me in this country to live a little differently, to put our focus somewhere different. And if the church as a whole shifts, then I think the way in which Catholics and also non-Catholics think about political issues will be different. I hope this isn't a flash in the pan. But only time will tell.
All right, last question here for you, Patrick, because we're almost out of time. But what is next for this Pope? How does he continue to deliver this message, and how does he try to make an impact?
So the very next thing, Adam, next week is he's going to be convening the second part of the Vatican Synod on the Families. This is a gathering of bishops from around the world. Last year, headlines were made because a document came out talking about welcoming of gay and lesbian folks. That document was subsequently retracted, but many church leaders have been calling on this Pope to lead the way in welcoming LGBT people in a new way into the Catholic Church. They're also going to be talking about divorce, contraception, communion for the divorced and remarried. Pope Francis has said that he wants bishops to speak their mind and not hold back, and that has created more controversy than you normally see at a Vatican meeting. And speaking for myself, I think that's good for the Catholic Church. It'll be interesting to see what plays out in Rome starting next week for the next 3 weeks.
And it'll be interesting to see what plays out actually in the churches all across America as a result of the Pope's visit and what messages were received there. Patrick Hornbeck, got to thank you again so much for all of your excellent commentary with us over the last couple of days. Thank you so much for being with us again, Patrick.
Adam,